Hey everyone, Joe Waxman here. In this video, I want to do something different. I have a list of criticisms about astrology that I thought I'd talk about just because, I don't know, it's interesting and satisfies my critical Virgo moon. But before I begin, guys, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't already. And just a little update. I recently had a video taken down by YouTube. It was Donald Trump revisited probably because I mentioned about him taking or his stance on I don't even want to say it, but you know, the orange squirty juice thing, the toxic mRNA, gene editing poison that is responsible for SADS, and I don't want to say anything else. I hate censoring myself, guys, so I'm very conflicted about this. Part of me just wants to rebel and just say it all and just have my channel deleted, just kind of like, you know, as a big act of rebellion. But I need to get a hard drive so I can download all my videos first because I don't want to lose everything. But anyway, it's going to be what it's going to be. I'm not going to censor myself too much because you know, then they win. You're letting the bad guys win, and I'm too rebellious. I have Uranus retrograde on the ascendant, square Saturn, so I'm all about, you know, defying the authority, butting heads with them, and you know, so I'm not really going to comply, but at the same time, I don't want to just have my channel upended. So I don't know. I'm doing a lot of reflection. I'm gonna stop doing the celebrity readings for now. Also because I seem to have run out of all the popular ones, and there might be a few left here and there, but I'm just gonna make videos that I feel inspired to make, and so they might be a little more sporadic. Anyway, this one is all about my criticisms of astrology. Basically, this came out of somebody asked me a question about what my opinion is about this. What do I look out for with other astrologers? You know, like who's good, who's not good, and what are my criticisms. So I'm gonna talk about that. All right, number one, when astrologers talk about past lives, this really bothers me because astrology is not a religion, right? But when you make it all about belief systems where that can't be verified, like this means you were that in your past life. I've actually had a reading where somebody was reading my past life. I'm like, how do you know any of this? Like, well, I don't know. I mean, I didn't ask them that because it was way early on before I was really in, but like later I was like, well, how do they know it? They don't know any of that. They didn't know. They were just guessing based on my chart. And that's really not accurate. I don't like that. I'll call them, you know, I've seen online people are like, oh, these are all the indications of a past life for this or that, past life that. And I'm like, how do you know? Like you have no way of verifying that. It's all religious nonsense. It's crap. Like I just want to be really clear about that's crap. It's bad shit astrology. It's like sucks. And if you see that anywhere, just like completely avoid those people, because the only exception I'll make to that is if they're doing past life regression, right? If they're actually hypnotizing people and bringing them into the past life, like I believe that's experiential. Like there's verification, at least plausible for that. And then you can say, oh, well, this means that about past life. That means that. But unless you're doing that, don't talk about it. Like stop. Like you're creating a religion and you're practicing shit astrology. Like I'm not gonna be, you know, kind about this. Like it's crap. You don't know what you're just guessing, and it might sound cool, or you might be parroting somebody else, but but that's bad astrology. It's wrong astrology. It's gonna be blunt about it. It's wrong astrology, and it's not astrology. It's not astrology. It's just religious bullshit. So just cut it out. All right. You do that, you suck. All right. Related, criticism if it's not based in experience, right? Like we know that there's not somebody's not doing past life regression. There's like this means that about a past life. No, it doesn't. Shut up, right? I hear people like I've heard like this planet in this house means you're on your last life. You're really no, it doesn't. That's just like you don't understand astrology if you're saying stuff like that, and you just shut your mouth. All right, not based in experience, like the same thing. Like if you're not basing your astrology practice on real life experience, then you're just parroting crap, and you're not practicing astrology. You're just being a lame, uh, ventriloquist. You're a puppet, dummy, just repeating what somebody else said or what somebody else thought, and you have no way of knowing it, and therefore you suck. Okay, guys, I'm not super kind right now. I'm not feeling it. I'm not feeling the warmth. So I'm just gonna be blunt and uh to the point and speaking how I feel. So it's the way it's going right now. Okay. And some of these are more mild criticisms. Obviously, some are more severe. Planets being higher octaves of each other. I get it, it's a nice analogy, but it's repeated ad nauseum and it doesn't really make sense. It's like saying, this person is the higher octave of that person. No, people are not higher octaves of each other. If you say that to somebody, you're insulting them because people are individuals. Well, guess what? Planets are individuals too. Uranus is not the higher octave of Mercury. I get why people say that, but it's not actual real because these are not concepts. That's conceptualizing it, right? It's like notes can be higher octaves of each other because they're based on a that's two spectral points in a spectrum, a frequency, right? Or if you have concepts that are equivalent to each other and it's just higher. Planets are actual physical things or organic bodies, right? And just like you cannot be a higher octave of somebody else, where there'll be an insult, right? Somebody was like, well, you're a higher octave or you're a lower octave or whatever. You're an octave of somebody else. Like, no, I'm not an octave, period. I'm my own person. And if you say that to me, I'm going to be pissed off. Not a violent person. I was thinking like, oh, punching. No, I'm not going to punch anyone because figuratively, yeah, I might like imagine punching in the face, but I'm not going to because I'm not a violent person and I would never do that. Right. But yeah, that's an insult, right? It's an insult to the planets and it's not understanding. Neptune is not a higher octave of Venus or Jupiter, right? Pluto is not a higher octave of Mars. These are individual planets. They're completely individual. I understand the analogy, but we need to put a cap on it and just realize it's just an analogy. Take it very lightly, right? And in reality, it's not true, right? People are individuals. Planets are individuals. We don't have higher octave of actual thing, organic things in nature, right? One thing is not a higher octave, like whales are not a higher octave of dolphins or something stupid like that. Like just idiotic stuff, right? It needs to, I mean, like it needs to be called out because we just need to rid astrology of like stupidity, right? I'm kind of fed up with stupidity right now. Like there's a lot of ridiculous things and I could just go off and like about all the ridiculous things in society that are just brain dead, idiot dummies repeating, stupid things. Okay. All right. No, I'm not gonna get into some debate between okay. I have a criticism of sidereal zodiac, and that is that I understand that it can be based off the stars, but but the stars are not neatly divided into 30-degree convenient packets. The constellations are all different sizes. So when you're talking about like oh, the sidereal zodiac is more accurate because it's based on the actual constellations. Well, the constellations are organic and they don't follow neat 30-degree conceptual divisions. They're all different sizes and some of them are overlapping, right? And so there's like the actual 30-degree zodiac according to sidereal, it's all messed up. It doesn't work. It doesn't fit. And so that's why you have the different ionomshifts, because they have different starting points, because people don't agree. Of course they don't agree, because it doesn't work like that. You can't just divide up the sky into, or the constellations into neat 30-degree packets. They just don't work that way. It doesn't fit. It's simple. It's like dividing up the landscape into 30-degree segments and just being like, this mountain range is in this 30-degree, segment, when it's not. It's not, it doesn't even fit. It's halfway in, halfway out, and it's bigger than 30 degrees anyway. And then some are smaller than 30 degrees, right? And some are overlapping. Some constellations overlap. And like, so the divisions don't work. And the reason it works in tropical is because we're not dividing any organic shapes up. We're just dividing the year, the movement of the sun around the earth, the earth around the sun, into 30-degree segments, right? And we have clear dividing points. The vernal equinox, right, is when the sun is exactly in the middle of the ecliptic, of its yearly transition between the northern and southern hemisphere, right? And then June 21st is when it reaches its peak, its height. That's Gemini, changing into Cancer, right? The vernal equinox is 0 degrees Aries, right? And then the solstice is 0 degrees Cancer. And then you go to 0 degrees Libra, it's equal again on the other side, right? And then 0 degrees Capricorn is the very bottom. And that's why it works. It fits. We can divide the tropical zodiac into neat 30-degree segments, because it's just, we're not lining it up with organic constellations that are not defining themselves by astrology on Earth, right? Like the constellations didn't be like, those Vedic sidereal astrologers, want us to be divided into neat 30-degree packets. Let's make it easy for them and organize ourselves according to sidereal zodiac. I mean, they don't give a shit. Like, they're just not even concerned. It's irrelevant. Like, they're just doing what they're doing, and they're not dividing themselves into neat 30-degree packets. So that's my criticism of sidereal zodiac. Besides that, the stars are way out there, and their influence is very minimal compared to the influence of the sun. And sorry, my camera's a little blurry. The Earth's movement around the sun. That's something that's very personal and very close to home, and therefore it affects us on a personal level. Like, which is more influential, our journey around the sun or stars that are light years out there? Well, I'll tell you, I mean, it's just not even a competition. The journey around the sun from our planet, our home, is vastly more influential than the constellations, a billion miles, light years, however far they are away. Like, they have an influence, but it's very minimal compared to that. So we're just talking about practicalities here. The tropical zodiac is infinitely more influential than the sidereal zodiac. I don't know how else to say it. It just is. All right, my next criticism is only using one house system. And if you guys, whoever's been watching my videos, know that I like to look at both the whole sign house system and whatever. I mean, I generally use porphyry, but if you want to use any of the other quadrant house systems, that's okay by me as well. But the point is, be flexible in your approach to astrology and look at things from more than one angle, because there's more than one influence, right? And it's not just, oh, I like this, therefore this is what works. No, it's what works. We have to be, there's a saying in like Eastern philosophy, just recalibrating the camera here. be the guest, not the host, right? Astrology is for us to figure out. It's not for us to put our preferences on and say, this is how astrology works based on what I like, right? Who cares what you like? Like, screw your likes. Like, just like, smack, like, shove your likes out of the way. Like, it's about learning from astrology, learning what works, right? And in order to do that, you have to come at astrology as the guest, not the host. Find out what works through being open and experimenting, right? Don't come at it with your preconceived bullshit opinions. Nobody gives a shit. Like, screw your opinions, right? Find out what works, what actually works. And in order for that, you need to be open. And in order to be open, you have to try different things, right? You just be like, oh, I'm Indian, therefore I like whole house system. Or I'm a traditional person, therefore I like traditional astrology, therefore I will only use whole house system. Or I'm a modern person, therefore I will only use Koch or Porphyry or one of the other Placidus, right? So it's just stupid. Like, don't come at astrology thinking you know how it should be. Come at it with openness and learn from it and figure it out. And therefore, you have to try different things and see what works best. And as far as I can tell, they both work, right? And you just have to see which one is being more influential. Okay, so use both. All right. My next criticism is conflating houses and signs and planets. This is something that modern astrologers do, which is really annoying. They'll say, like, if you're a first house or an Aries or a Mars, putting it all together, right? Now, bear with me. I also have criticism of the opposite. But this is just reductionist and overly simplistic. First house and Aries are not the same thing. And Mars and the first house and Aries are not the same thing either. They all have their own unique interpretations, because one is a planet, the other is a sign, and the third is a house. The houses are defined by the Earth's rotation, right? Whatever the eastern horizon is. So the house system is based on, especially the ascendant, that's the representation of the Earth, right? The signs are not a representation of the Earth. They are the movement of the sun around the Earth, the Earth around the sun. Sorry about that. The seasonal. It's not even seasonal, because the seasons are different in the north and the south. So it's not like summer and winter and like that, because it's summer and Capricorn season in the south, right? In the southern hemisphere, right? So it's not like summer and winter, but it is about the Earth's movement around the sun, right? And then the planets are the planets. The planets are not, planets didn't be like, Mars was not like, Aries is my sign and I'm, associate me with Aries. Like, Mars doesn't give a shit about Aries. Like, we made that connection, right? Mars is Mars. That's all it is. Mars is Mars. Mercury is Mercury. Venus is Venus, right? The sun is the sun. These are not, they don't come together with the signs. We put them together with the signs because they're very similar. They have a similar energy, but they're not exactly the same. And we have to understand that. For instance, if you have a planet that's conjunct Saturn, that's very different than a planet in Capricorn. Like, very different. Its effects are different. Its influence is different. My Mars, which is my ascendant lord, is conjunct Saturn, not even that close. But Mars in Capricorn is exalted. But Mars conjunct Saturn is difficult. They are different, right? So, and the houses and signs too, they have similarities, right? They're not completely separate, but they're not completely the same either. For instance, if you have North Node in Aries, that's different from North Node in the first house. They have different interpretations, right? And I could go on and on. I'm not going to get very detailed into this. Suffice to say, North Node in Aries would be much more driven to succeed in the house that it's in. in a very personalized, selfish way. Whereas North Node in the first house becomes very um, uh, self-obsessed at times, or very alone, independent, and driven towards self-mastery, even on the higher end, right? And so it's very different, right? Now my next criticism is not connecting houses, signs, and planets, which traditional astrologers are more likely to do, to just completely separate them. Just be like, yeah, Scorpio doesn't have anything to do with the eighth house, which is not true at all. Like, and they say like sex has to do with the fifth house. And that's a wrong interpretation as far as I'm concerned, because like I get like like fifth house has to do with like romance and fun and entertainment and games and dating and stuff like that. But no, not sex, because fifth house is a very visible house, where, and it also has to do with children. And you don't mix these energies. These are energy based, right? Sex and children do not mix. Therefore, you cannot have sex being a part of the fifth house. Sex is part of the eighth house, where it's related to death and secrecy and privacy, because you go and have sex in private, right? And the difference is, like, you go out with a person on a date, and you're out at a restaurant, you're in public. That's very different than going home and having sex. They're not the same things at all, right? You go home and you have sex, that's moving into the eighth house, because that's very intimate. It's behind closed doors. You get naked. It's just you two, right? And these are all very scorpionic things. And sex actually has a connection to death, because having sex and then when you have the orgasm, it's like a little death, because the man loses his energy through his sperm, and they both have orgasm, hopefully, ideally, and then they lay there and you're dead. You're dead for a while, and then you're reborn. And like, oh wow, that was good. And then there's even more life potentially out of that. Like the woman can get pregnant. That's even how, like, the evolution of the rebirth. After death comes even more life, right? Like that's the whole Plutonic theme, the Scorpionic Plutonic theme of death and evolution, right? It's not just rebirth. It's not just like a circle. It's just a never-ending merry-go-round. It's death and rebirth, but the rebirth is an evolution of the death that came before, and that has parallels to sex. Losing energy, being like, oh, and then women, potentially getting pregnant, right? That's that parallel. So, and also relating the houses to the numbers, right? The numbers have a lot to do with it. It's not disconnected, right? So therefore, it's like we have to be subtle with how we look at these things, and we can't just say like it's all the same. First house, Aries, Mars; second house, Taurus, Venus, or that they're completely separated and not related. They're related. First house and Aries are related. They're not the same. Second house and Taurus are related, but they're not the same. Third house and Gemini are related, but they're not the same. And they have the same numbers, so they have similar associations. But how we interpret them and how we use them and how we look at them has to be separate. They're different expressions of that. Okay. So another criticism of astrology is when traditional astrologers dismiss modern astrology as it's like something ignorant and stupid, and they only as if only people who are like dead for 1,000 years could understand astrology. Like the smugness and arrogantness. Only only if you read it in an ancient book is it real. Like, what are you? So stupid and arrogant, ignorant. Like modern people, like, oh, like I can't possibly understand astrology. Therefore, I have to look at the ancient masters, because if they were dead for 1,000 years, that means they must be really intelligent, right? Really smart people. Oh, everyone nowadays, including myself, is too stupid to understand astrology. Therefore, we can only learn from ancient astrology. It's ridiculously what's the word? where you're just like, um, you just think like you're dumb and everyone else is dumb, and the only thing that could be real are people who have been dead like hundreds or thousands of years. Like, I don't even know what that's called, but it's stupid. It's just idiotic and arrogant. It's arrogant. It's extremely arrogant. Um, no, we're not like just incapable of understanding astrology freshly and newly just because we're not the originators, and just like the only things that can be real are the people who understood it 1,000 years ago, right? Like, that's stupid, right? And dismissing any modern astrologer or modern interpretation of astrology just because it's not 1,000 years old, it's like, it's just idiotic, it's dumb, it's stupid, it's arrogant, and those people are bad astrologers. I mean, they might be good astrologers, but they're bad at thinking. All right, and conversely, modern astrologers who dismiss traditional astrology, they're equally dumb, right? Because people have been doing this for thousands of years, and like they know what they're talking about. It's worked, and we have to learn from the past, right? We can't just dismiss everything that came before just because, like, I don't know, like whoever your modern hero and who wrote the book on astrology, whether it's Jeffrey Wolf Green or somebody else, whatever. Um, just because you have your modern hero, astrological hero, I mean, I don't care. Like, it doesn't. It's still stupid. Like, we can't throw away the past just because you like some modern astrology. Like, it's stupid. I shouldn't have to explain this, but I do, because people don't get it. Like, you know, traditional astrology is definitely worth knowing, but we can't stop there. We have to keep growing and evolving. Um, okay, this is more of a pet peeve because I can't, well, when astrologers are just like, you know, really good at understanding astrology, but they don't understand anything about politics or how modern consensus works, and they just like believe CNN and believe like this, that they have the most superficial understanding of policy, and they're just like, oh my god, I can't even like listen, like how, like I want to learn from what you're saying, but at the same time, like you're dumb, you're just stupid, you're an idiot, you don't understand anything about the modern world, and you have zero ability to see through the lies and deceit that's just painfully obvious to some others of us. And it's not just like this left right divide, which is ridiculously simplistic and stupid as well. It's like, I don't know. It's just a lot of astrologers are incredibly naive. You just like can't see through the most superficial veil of modern society, and yet they want to peer through the layers of the occult, trying to understand the secrets of the universe. It's like this discrepancy, which is very annoying. Like, how can you be like so aware to astrology, which is like, the secrets of the universe? I'm flipping through the book of life into the secret underlying, workings of the universe, but I can't even see through the shittiest, um, media lies and political lies. It's like, oh my god. Um, Now here I'm getting in a little bit into the nitty gritty, but I just thought I'd throw this in here because I might not have a chance anywhere else. Um, I mean, this is a small minor point, but um, Jeffrey Wolf Green um, always talks about the patriarchy in his astrology and his talks and stuff like that. And it's really annoying because not only that, but all the other evolutionary astrologers do as well. They copy him like sheep, like idiots. Uh, the patriarchy is not a real thing. It's not. I mean, especially if you understand astrology, we're all following astrological cycles, and women have been there the whole time. It's like, what are you saying? That women were powerless to do anything about it and they were just sitting there like victims? Or more to the point, they were complicit. And in fact, it wasn't a patriarchy at all. If you understand astrology, it's actually, they're just expressing different energies based on the astrology of the times, because I mean that's the whole point of astrology, to take out the judgment of it. But if you add judgment back into it, you're not really using astrology for what it's worth, right? Like if you look at the planetary nodes with all the planets, with the Pluto and Saturn and Jupiter with their south node in Capricorn, that's not patriarchy. That's an archetype. It's called Capricorn, right? And you throwing judgment on there is just, you're just not using astrology the way it needs to be used, the way it's supposed to be used. So you can't take a universal archetype and say we're going to cast judgment on this universal archetype. Like, it's stupid, right? We have men and we have women. That's an expression of nature. And we have the four seasons and 12 zodiacs, and these are all like, don't cast judgment upon a universal truth. You're showing your bias, a negative bias that you're passing on to your students while you're trying to express a divine truth of life. And part of that is Capricorn. And whether or not that's an expression of Capricorn or not, like, just get the judgment out of it. Get the negative, personal bias out of it. I mean, yeah, the Western civilization is materialistic, but so what? I mean, do we not see the value in that? I mean, we use materialism. I mean, there's certainly fault with it, and we certainly need to evolve out of it, but we can't blame it. We can't just be like, that's a negative, we're gonna point our finger and be like, that's bad. That's bad. The West is bad because it expressed materialism. Like, shut up. Stop being such a fucking idiot. I mean, look, what's the alternative? We just go like back to tribalism. I mean, that's maybe that's the matriarchy that is so good. I mean, I'm just tired of this. Like, I don't want to go backwards into like, caveman. And I'm not all for the West either. I have huge criticism of that, but we have to move forward, not backward. And calling things the patriarchy is just, it's falling into ridiculous, silly judgmentalism. Like, and it's not true. It's not a patriarchy. It's a, if anything, it's just materialism and Capricornianism, right? Like, call it what it is. That's what astrology is for. That's the good part about it. You can take out the judgment and just see the objective truth that these are just archetypal energies, neither good nor bad. They just are, right? But being like, men have dominated women, is to say that women are weak and powerless when they're not. They were part of it. And they were complicit, and they enjoyed it just as much. If they didn't enjoy it, then why haven't they changed it? It's just being a victim, right? And it's the same thing today. Like, if we're not enjoying this life on Earth and the way things are done, then we have to change it. We just be like blaming the bad guys for everything that they're doing. We're allowing it. It's the same thing we're doing right now. Like, if we don't like it, we have to change it. And we have to stop allowing it. Otherwise, we're just saying we're weak and powerless, and they're strong, and we're victims. It's stupid. And that's pretty much it. And then my last criticism was that just like you get these modern astrologers who are supposed to be all awake and enlightened, and yet they're just copying their teacher, saying the same bullshit victim mentality that he is, and blaming the patriarchy. Oh, the damn patriarchy. They kept us down for so long, and we're powerless to change anything. It's all their fault. They did it to us, and we're the victims. I just don't want any part of it, and it's weak, it's stupid, and it's naive, and it's ignorant, and we need to do better than that. So that's my talk for now. My criticism of astrology, and I'm sure some people somewhere will be offended by probably a bunch of stuff I said, but hey, I can't always just please everyone, and who can really? So anyway, hope you liked it. Hope you found it interesting or entertaining or whatever. Hit the like button, subscribe, leave a comment, book a reading with me, macroastrology.com, or email me directly at macrogoldmachine@yahoo.com. And I will see you guys again soon, hopefully. Or if I don't, it's probably because my channel was deleted. Because I said something the corporate slave masters didn't like. And while I'm here, I'm just gonna say my piece about that before I go. People are like, oh, they're a private corporation, they could do whatever they want. Oh, really? Yeah. Can you go to a restaurant and be discriminated against because of race, religion, gender, ethnicity, or any other circumstances? No. Can you go there, and can you go to a restaurant and be like, if they ask you what's your political belief system, and then they're like, no, we don't like that, you can't come in, sorry, no. Can your landlord do that to you? Can your landlord be like, well, you're a Democrat, you gotta get out, don't like Democrats anymore, we just found out you're a Democrat, we're evicting you? No, that's discrimination. And what this is, these are publicly operating companies, and they're discriminating. They can do it because they haven't made a law about it. It doesn't change the fact that it's discrimination. It's no different than discriminating against race, religion, ethnicity, gender, sexual preference, whatever, whatever other circumstances we're talking about. And it's against free speech. So it's not protected rightfully. Legally, right now it is, but once racism was protected by law as well. So this is it's just another layer of bullshit that we need to speak out against. It's not right, just as racism wasn't right when it was protected by law either, so it's not right. And I'll challenge anyone who disagrees with me about that. Come at me. I'm not afraid. So, guys, see you again soon. All right, thanks, bye.